Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of Highly Talkative, where we get high in conversation and discuss many topics from personal to community to anything that's going on in the world. So sit back, get cozy, and let me talk to you. Let's go. All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode with your girl, A. Millie. Of course, I'm always appreciative for those who are following, listening, liking, subscribing. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, and let's just drive into it. I have a list of topics that I want to talk about. This is more of like I guess you could say, conspiracy theorist type thing, kind of like factoring into what we spoke about last week. First topic, are giants real? Okay. The Hantavirus and the show doc that's on Paramount. I also think it's on Hulu. Why do we pray over our food? How many gods are there? Do you believe in aliens? Spending more time with my boys. The internet raising our kids, and then just learning more about podcasting and production as I go along to like better help perfect my craft. So the first topic, are giants real? I wholeheartedly believe that they are real, only because there's been like a lot of findings of like big feet, kind of like how they find dinosaurs, but like the big feet, or like just general findings that scientists find but don't really know how to explain. And then I've also seen the movie Trolls on Netflix. It's not the cartoon Trolls, but it's Trolls about how rocks turn into big giants, basically. And there are, like, how do I explain this? So they're not dead or anything like that, but it's like big ass boulders that aren't out in like in Ireland and some other places where you do something and they turn from boulders into giants. And I don't know, it just made sense to me because I'm just like, how are all these big things happening, but nobody can explain how they're happening? For example, Egypt, right? I know people say that Africans built Egypt. Africans built the pyramid, and they had like this pulley system going on with these rocks and all these other things. But if you actually see the pyramid up close and personal, you're really like, holy shit, this is huge. How did they come up with this type of technology back then? Especially how far into history it was. And in my head, it was giants. It was giants that could build certain things like that. And it may not be like, oh my God, super huge 300-foot giants, but 10-foot, 12-foot, 15-foot giants. Absolutely. I believe in them. I also say that to factor into, I don't say this in a disrespectful way, but basketball players, right? Anybody over 6'5" in my head is a giant. So 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". You have 7-footers, you have 7 foot and some change. In my eyes, you are descendants from giants. Not necessarily you being a huge giant, but like, how in the hell did you come from parents who are this short and all of a sudden you're like 7 foot and some change, or 6 foot and some change, and your mom and your dad are barely pushing 5'11"? I think it's amazing, don't get me wrong, but it also just gets my wheels turning as into, like I said, are giants real? And then I also factor in Bigfoot. How long have we been searching for Bigfoot, or there have been sightings of Bigfoot anywhere in the world, but we have not yet literally found like that 100% proof, like, oh my God, this is factual. These people really seen Bigfoot, or Bigfoot really exists. I don't think that that mystery or that tale would have came about if it wasn't real. That's just how I feel about like sci-fi movies, horror movies, or anything like that. Like, yes, people can have an amazing imagination or whatever, but if it wasn't real, then people wouldn't be able to speak about it. Like, you did some type of research to be able to come up with this movie plot, movie scheme, anything like that, to be able to write a movie, write a book, or tell a story. I don't think it just came out of thin air. People actually seen it, experienced it, researched it, have factual evidence that they know that they can portray it in a certain way, but not too much to get them caught up. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So that's just where I stand. I want to know how you guys feel when it comes to that too. Do you believe in giants? Do you feel like giants are real? Why or why not? Please email me at highlytalkative@gmail.com so I can read those responses because I'm really interested. Like, it's something that truly intrigues me. And again, that kind of falls into like my conspiracy theories. Another thing that falls into my conspiracy theories is the Hantavirus and the show called Doc on Paramount. This kind of reminds me of when COVID came about, and there was a movie back in the day before COVID even existed called The Outbreak that basically fell into what COVID was. You sneeze, you cough, you're in the vicinity of somebody more than 6 feet, like less than 6 feet away, you're affected. Like, you could possibly catch it, so on and so forth. Well, a couple weeks before, or maybe like 3 weeks before the Hantavirus came about, I've been watching the show called Doc on Netflix, not Netflix, excuse me, on Paramount as well as Hulu. And it's basically a show about a doctor who's very prestige and what she does. She's very smart. People go to her, but she was an absolute asshole. She knew what she was doing. She didn't take shit from anybody. And if I say I'm going to research this, I'm basically going to research this. I don't care how anybody feels about it, right? Well, she gets into a car accident one day leaving work, and she ends up losing 8 years worth of her memories. So she has to go through things all over again. Um, I think it was like the season finale, or maybe a couple episodes before the season finale, where this dangerous outbreak came about from, I don't remember if it was like this couple or this person, like the single handed person who came back from somewhere and somehow contracted this very dangerous disease and started spreading it within the hospital, and people were dying or getting very sick, and they had to come up with like an antibody to basically cure or see how they could stop it from spreading. And in my eyes, this is very similar to the hantavirus, because I'm not going to say it came out of nowhere, but you're on a cruise ship and then people get infected because somebody or this couple decided to go visit a landfill with there's even that is not confusing to me, but even that has a lot of different stories. And in my head, it's the government distracting us from what's really going on, because it's like these elections are going on. They're trying to reconstruct like district mapping, and they're trying to take our attention away from that and focusing on this, which it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Because, like I said, you guys are on a cruise ship and you go visit this part of the world, and this couple decides to get out, and one person says it's from a bird, another person says it's from rodents, another person said it's basically because they visited that landfill and it already had that virus in there, touching stuff, etc. But they contract the virus, they get back on the boat, they spread the disease, and it goes on from there. So it's basically like a whole nother COVID, but worse, because you have a 40% more chance of passing away from this virus if you contract it. But my questions are, where is the, not CDC, but like when you get off a boat in a different part of the world or a different country or whatever, and you go exploring, where are the protocols to when you get back on the boat to make sure that you're not contracting this? And then on top of that, if you are contracting it, then why are we bringing the people back to the United States or back to wherever they're from, offloading them instead of putting them in some type of quarantine to really figure this thing out? So in my head, the US or the government is perfectly fine with saying, like, yeah, this is a very deadly disease, but let's go ahead and send them back to where they came from to just see how it works out. For those who are really, like, really ill and very deadly, yeah, we'll put them in quarantine, but if they're not showing symptoms, let's just send them back home. But then also saying that symptoms may not show within like the first 20 something days. So why not keep them quarantined for that long to ensure that they're not developing them symptoms within that time frame and then sending it out? So again, just like I felt with COVID, a conspiracy theorist, it's population control. You guys are doing what you can to weed off who you can so that the world doesn't get more populated and you have less things to worry about. Now, in my head, what is what's the issue with the world becoming more populated? Like, what's the issue with us getting more people within the world because, or the universe? Because isn't that what this universe was made for? Like, to populate. And again, conspiracy theory, because that's just how I feel about the coronavirus. Is how I feel about this virus. That's also how I feel about like certain cancers. Like, it's just the government's way of weeding people out. Because just like I spoke with somebody prior to this podcast, I was like, yeah, I understand like cancer is really a thing. Like, God rest my mother's soul, she passed away from cancer. But I'm also like, this is a way to control the population, because how can you come up with an antibody or a vaccine for COVID in less than, let's say, 96 hours, but we still have this disease, cancer, that's going around, that's been around for years, and nobody's been able to find a cure for it, or nobody's been able to find a way to stop the progression, and all these medicines that they so-called come out with aren't really helping. But let's say you have the right amount of money, then you can dig deeper or dive deeper into ways to quote unquote cure yourself and ensure that you come back out into this world. Again, just a conspiracy theory. That's just how I feel. You guys may not feel the same way, and that's perfectly fine, because just like an asshole, everybody has one. And I love that. That's one thing that I really love about, you know, encountering or talking to people, because everybody has different aspects or believes in different things, and that just opens up a room for conversation to either learn more or teach somebody more. So again, conspiracy theorists, but that's where I stand when it comes to the hantavirus and what I've just been seeing and what I've been hearing. Now, another conspiracy kind of theory that I fall into is, why do we pray over our food? Some people say it's thanking God for providing the food to us, and then other people say that, or other cultures per se, say that they're praising the animal for giving up their lives to fulfill our stomachs, right? But in my head, I mean, they kind of both make sense. I know in like I want to say like the Polynesian community, they pray over the food, giving thanks to the animal that basically gave their life to fulfill our stomachs, right? But then that's also like, the animal didn't give up their lives, we took their lives from them, which is why we're able to feed. It's not like the animal just came up to us and said, hey, take my life, I want to give you a cheeseburger, or hey, take my life, I want to give you a steak. It's literally us sending them to slaughter houses or slaughtering them ourselves so that we can gain fulfillment off of their, I guess, like off of their bodies, off of their lives. So I'm really wondering, why do we pray over our food? Is it to give thanks to the animal, or is it to give thanks to our quote unquote God for providing us this nutrients, or is it a combination of both? Because like I said, people believe in, like, different cultures believe in different things, and I'm perfectly okay with that, because not everybody believes in the same thing, but also it's what we're spoon fed, it's what we are raised to believe. Just like raising a child, we raise certain children, or even us as parents raise our children to believe in certain things, like this is okay, this isn't okay, X, Y, and Z. But as they grow older, they're understanding, like, okay, maybe my mom or my dad wasn't completely right in this aspect of like why I should do this or why I should do that. But still, at the end of the day, everybody believes in something. So I just want to know, or more so understand, like, what is the purpose of us praying over our food? Like, why are we really giving thanks to what we're about to put into our stomachs, basically? And then I guess that kind of also factors into my next topic, which is, how many gods are there? Like, how many gods are there really? Because different cultures or different religions have different names for who they give praise to, but in my head, aren't they all the same? You have our God, you have Allah, you have Buddha, you have, all these other gods, but we're raised to believe that there's only one God. But if there's only one God, then how do you have God, Allah, Buddha, and whoever else that people believe in? That's just where I get confused at when it comes to like, Christianity, Buddhism, all these other religions, because, and excuse me if I lose followers over this, but again, this is just my own belief. But if there's only one God that we pray to, that we give praise to, that we seek guidance from, and all of this, then how are there all these different gods, and each God kind of follows a different type of set of rules? Like, you go to Buddha and you rub his belly supposedly, and not even that, but like, how do I explain this? Like, each religion, yes, they give praise to their gods, but each god supposedly came about a different way, and you give praise to them a different way, and you literally come to them or go to them in different manners or different ways. So if that's the case, like I said, how is it that there's multiple gods, or people of a higher power that you go to, but they all are in different religions, ways, principles, rules? I just don't understand it. If you can give me a better understanding, I would love to hear from you guys. Again, highlytalkative@gmail.com is where you can provide all that feedback, and I'll be happy to go through those emails, read them, and bring it back up to the community if that's something that I feel it's worth talking about. But again, I just need to understand like the story behind each one. Like, maybe I need to pick up my Bible and really read it, because again, I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual. It's just, this is kind of one of the factors as to why I'm more spiritual. Like, yeah, I'll pray and I'll say thank you God or whatever like that, but when I'm saying God, in my head it's the greatest of all divines. Like, it's somebody who has a higher power than me. In my head it's my ancestors. I give praise to them, and I that's just how I feel. Like, when something good happens in my life, I thank my ancestors, and specifically my mother, because I just feel like she's always watching over me. And I see it in real time when I feel a certain type of way, or if I'm thinking about something, then here comes a red robin, or not a red robin, excuse me, here comes a cardinal, or I'm seeing a butterfly, or my angel numbers come about. That's just how I feel personally. I feel as if it's more a spiritual thing than it is a religious or anything like that. Because let's be honest, spirituality kind of also intertwines with religion in a way. It's just different rules, different aspects, a different genre. So, like I said, if you guys have like more in depth of to, the lifestyle as a Buddhist, or the lifestyles as a Christian or a Catholic or what have you, please email me. I would love to read those emails and kind of like compare the emails or contrast the emails, or just say like, this is exactly why I believe in what I believe in, or you guys can open my mindset to a new horizon. And that's just, again, something that I'm always open to. All right. So we're going to kind of get off of that topic, and we're going to kind of weed into another one, which is, do you believe in aliens? Excuse me. I absolutely do believe in aliens. I believe in aliens come in all types of different shapes, forms, anything like that. And again, that kind of also factors into what I said earlier about like, people may come up with a storyline to create a movie or a book or a podcast or what have you, but those storylines really come from something, right? Like, let's say Alien versus Predator, or any other alien movie. In my head, they're all kind of looking the same. They have these tentacles, little slimy, and all these other things. And again, in my head, that comes from octopus. And I know this sounds weird, but octopus, squid, or anything like that, aliens for me come from the sea. There's so many different types and body shapes and what they can do. And the ocean is so big that we really have not explored, I'll say 50% of it, but there's always something new coming about. And I love watching documentaries like Oceans and all these other discoveries that they find on there. I'm really mm, like, I would have never known that if I didn't watch this show, or I would have never even thought to, like I said, compare octopus that are in the ocean, or squid that are in the ocean, to the aliens that are portrayed in movies, because again, they're all looking the same. So is it one person piggybacking off of another, creating this alien, or what this alien should look like? Or is it really the fact that these aliens come from the ocean and they're just putting them in different body forms? But then you also have those aliens who have like that weird shaped head and the big old eyes, then the little bodies. But again, how is everybody coming about how an alien quote unquote should look? In my head, you've experienced it, you've seen it, or somebody's experienced it, seen it, and told you a story, or what have you. Just like mermaids. If you ask me, mermaids are 100% real. Where are they? I don't fucking know. But it's not like somebody just said, hey, let me just come up with a story about a mermaid and let's just make it a thing. Somebody's encountered it. That's just how I feel. So I would love to hear your feedback on that as well. And I'll keep saying this email because I want my email to be booming with people who've been listening to my podcast or have feedback or have something to say. I want to read it. I don't want you guys to just listen to this podcast and be like, oh, and shrug it off. No, I want you guys to really, indulge in what I'm saying and interact as well and send me emails about what you're hearing or what you're not hearing or what you'd rather hear at highlytalkative@gmail.com. Like, that's a really important aspect of what I do. So the next topic I want to talk about is more personal, which is spending more time with my boys. I've really been making this a big thing for me because I really do want to make sure that I'm spending the right amount of time with all of my kids, especially with having a newborn, and they're all growing. And I know that quality time is very important, and I don't want them to feel like, I'm abandoning them or not there for them because of the simple fact that I'm really trying to make sure that I'm okay, my baby's okay, and then just forget about like family time. So lately, we've been going to the park a lot more. We've been going to the movies, not even just going out to the movies, but we've also been like just watching movies together in my room because right now my downstairs living room TV is out of commission. The backlight went out and it's annoying. If anybody has like a ONN Roku TV, have y'all experienced this as well? This is my second TV that I've received by them where my backlight goes out and I'm not understanding why. It's not like I run my TV all day. I turn my TV off when we're not watching it. And then the next day I try to go turn that bitch on and it's not existent. Like I can hear the sound in the background, but there is no picture on the screen. But then, side topic, my bad, ADHD. And I'm always going to tell you guys when that happens because, it's just life. But also just being together with my kids, playing board games, playing games in general, just talking to them, seeing how their day has been, what they went through, trying to guide them in a better direction. I think it's really important. Like I said, I don't want my kids to grow up and just be like, you had a baby or you had this, and then I just felt abandoned. I want them to know that I'm always here for them no matter what the circumstances are. Um, family is family, and we're always going to be able to spend that time together no matter what. It's just something that's really near and dear to my heart. I feel like my mom was really good at that as well. Like, I never felt like my mom didn't spend enough time with me. So I just want to make sure that I feed into my kids the way that my mom fed into me. Let me see. I have two more topics that I kind of want to discuss. Um, One of them is the internet raising our kids. So I've came to the realization that my kids really are on their tablet, game, phone majority of the day. And it's either watching YouTube reels, TikTok short, Instagram shorts, TikTok, whatever. They're in their phones constantly watching something. And in return, because of that, I've put screen times on their devices. So you can put that shit down and go outside and go play or find you something else better than to do than to be in your electronics. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like technology is amazing because it teaches our kids a lot of different things. But it's also a kind of downfall because, like I said, my kids, I can't say these, but I know a lot of kids, but specifically my kids are like glued to their phones, tablets, PlayStations, whatever. So I've come to the point where I'm just like, Mondays, electronics are off limits. Like, let's talk about how your day went. Let's go to the park. Let's go do something active other than being in our phones. Um, And then I've also, like I said, I've set screen times to where you can only be on YouTube, TikTok, or anything like social media wise for about an hour and a half. After that, you have to ask me for more permission to use these the social medias. And I say that because, like I said, I feel like certain things really do influence my kids to where I have to be like, okay, they may be doing this in their household, or you might be seeing this short on YouTube, or one, let's be honest, that's not real. They're doing it to get views, they're doing it to get likes, they're doing it to get some type of um, attractions or engagement so they can earn money off of what they're doing. This is not real life. And this is how I like this. You won't act like this. Like I know there's one YouTube influencer who like goes within stores and he's literally acting an ass, like playing around in the store, making loud noises, recording people and like make doing pranks on people as well. And I'm just like, yeah, it's funny to see, but I don't ever want you to think that that's okay. Because at the end of the day, not everybody is joking like he's joking or like they're joking, and then it can turn into something big. So I'm like, where is the equal median for all of that? Where is yeah, you can have social media or watch YouTube or watch Instagram or TikTok or whatever, but also understand that there is a fine line between what you see and what reality is. And social media really plays a big part in lives because it's not only that side of social media, but it's also the learning side of social media. Like you have Miss Rachel, you have Rachel's Corner, you have, YouTube that shows all the shows that you can't really find elsewhere. For instance, I know this is crazy to say, but my 2 month old, I will go to YouTube and I'll put on like the black and white videos for her to just like look at, or sometimes I'll put on the Backyardigans. If you ask me, I swear she loves the fucking Backyardigans because every time I put it on, she gets so excited, her legs get to kicking, and she's like smiling super hard. But again, that kind of like feeds into what I'm saying about social media and the influences and just the modern parenting struggles when it comes to balancing all of that. Because where do you really lie? Where do you fall when it gets to the nitty gritty of things? Like, how do you control your kids' screen time? How do you control what your kids can and cannot watch on YouTube? What's the proper thing for them to watch on YouTube? Like, are you okay with them watching, these families out here who are making skits? And these skits are like, I'm not going to say outrageous, but it's like a skit where somebody's breaking into the home and then these kids are like, oh my god, what do you do? And they're all like running around and basically role playing as if something like this is really happening. And in my head I'm like, this can be a good or a bad thing, because I mean, let's be real, some parents don't go over what should be done if somebody's breaking into the home or if there's a fire or anything like that. So it could be helpful there, but also it could be a downfall because they may not be doing the right thing. And now here your kids are watching this thinking that what they're doing is okay, when in reality, it's not. So for me, it's really just a parenting struggle as to what I should and should not allow them to do or watch, or how much time they should be allotted within the week or the days to really be in their phones. Like, it's just something that I've really been struggling with here as of lately. Mhm. And then lastly, I am learning more about like podcasting and production as I go. All right. So, of course, I want to have more guest speakers on my show, but then it's also like the time is an issue. I work from home. I know some of my other guests that I want to come on my podcast work from home, but just because you work from home doesn't mean that your schedule is always open. I have people who actually go in to work or do different things where it's like our schedules are kind of colliding. So I've come to the conclusion like, okay, let's try phone calls and just record those phone calls and see how I can break that down and put it on a podcast as a guest speaker. So that's like something that I'm also working on because, like I said, it's a big thing for me to start having more guest appearances on my podcast, because I feel like different people can teach us different things, and it's a great platform to have to get that engagement out or get that information out. So I'm just really trying to figure out the best way to go about that. And then the volumes with having guest speakers. Like I'm trying to really learn how to break each person down so that I can have like different volume controls. Cause like for me, I'm naturally a loud person. I don't have to project or, make myself louder. I'm just naturally loud. But then you have people who are more soft spoken. So when we're having conversations within the podcast, it's like I have to turn their volume up more so it kind of matches mine and you guys can really hear what they're saying and it's not just like background noise. So that's something else that I'm also working on. Like I have an ATEM system where I can plug in different mics and control those noise volumes. But it's also like if I'm using my wireless microphones, how do I control that? Each person is mic'd up differently, but I don't know how to control the volumes on them other than moving the mics around on their bodies so that I can hear them better. Whereas to like with the ATEM system, I'm able to really control the volumes, like turn their mic up more because they're soft spoken or turn my mic down a little bit lower because I'm louder than them. Again, another thing that I'm just working on. Also my editing techniques. I feel like I've been doing pretty okay on that production side with editing my own podcast, but I also know that there is more things that factor into it. Like I want to learn better. I want to learn how to better take out the background noise. Like you're only hearing us because sometimes, let's be real, I have a lot going on in the back. Like I said, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I work from home. I have my 2-month old. I'm always moving around the house, whether it's folding clothes, doing laundry, cooking something, or just taking care of my baby. I want to be able to still create my podcast, but still take out that background noise. So that's just also something that I'm working on. And I also want to do like little clues drops. Like if I say something amazing and I'm like, all right, drop that. And you hear the pew, 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 pew type thing. I know that sounds cheesy, but again, it's just a work in progress. And then just trying to figure out what truly just works best for me. Um, Lately, I've been like editing and posting, but like I'll record the day before just so I can get the edits down pat. But I want to learn how to really record that day and post that day too. I know there's podcasters who create a podcast every single day and edit them themselves and post them themselves. And I'm just like, where do you find the time in the day? Because your podcasts are like an hour and a half long. And I know editing itself takes not forever, but you have to listen to that hour and some change long podcast to create the edits to make sure everything flows together. So again, it's just me really finding my niche in what I'm doing so I can ensure that I'm perfecting it because like I said, this is something that is longevity for me. I'm on season 3, episode 20 right now, and I've been doing this since 2023. So this is my 3rd year that I'm going into, and yes, I feel like I'm getting better within time, but like I said, my goal is to really start making money off of this, be another source of income, not my main income, but another source of income. God forbid something happens and like my actual job, I can still fall back on this and be like, I'm still good no matter what. So these are just things that I've been working on. I'll also be having, this is like off topic, but whatever, as I'm closing out, I'll also be having some guest speakers on here shortly, hopefully within this podcast or my next podcast. And they specialize in mortgaging and, real estate and all these other things. So I have my list of questions that I'm ready to ask them. And hopefully they have a list of questions for me. But that's just kind of where I'm standing with that. Like I said, even with them, I told them like, hey, we can really just try a phone call and I can record our phone call and then just add that into my podcast if that's easier for you because I know your schedules are busy. You guys are going, from client to client or closing on homes and stuff like that. So I know it's kind of hard to get you guys in or sit down with y'all and get this podcast going. So like I said, these are just things that I'm really working on, that I'm really trying to perfect so that in the future, everything runs smoothly. But, as always, I'm very appreciative for where I'm at and all the support that I've gotten. So I'm going to close it out there. As always, you guys can follow me on Facebook at Highly Talkative. You can follow me on Instagram at highly.talkative. Also, don't forget about my other businesses that I have. I have Keep It Stashy, where I can help with the organization, onboarding, file keeping, anything in the background of your business while you focus on your forefront to help you grow as you're growing. Let's be honest. So Keep It Stashy on Instagram, Keep It Stashy on Facebook. Follow me there. Highly Talkative, you guys, like I said, Highly Talkative on Facebook, Highly.talkative on Instagram. Feedback, suggestions, input, anything like that, you guys can email me at highlytalkative@gmail.com. You guys can also follow me on all major streaming platforms. It's Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. You can also go to rss.com and search Highly Talkative Podcast and choose your streaming platform there. As always, you guys have a great week. Have a great day. Don't let nobody piss in your Cheerios, and know that you are that person. And I say that because in my head, I want to say you are that bitch. But for the men who are listening, but all positive affirmations for anyone listening and all the positivity that is shared. Don't forget to share my podcast, guys. Sharing my podcast also goes a long way. I appreciate the support. I will talk to you guys later.